DJ Payne 1.
Hello, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the CEO Sports Show for September 1st, 2025. And on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about 3 NFL teams that I am not out on for the rest of the NFL season. Also, we're going to be talking about John Gruden potentially returning to coaching, but in college. We'll talk about that. Before we get into the episode, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. Also, please make sure to check out the rest of the pages on the Kretschman Media Network. We have a college football show, the Stadium Pulse. We have a boxing show, Okoye Knows Boxing, a basketball show, Dub's Room, and we have a specifically Dallas Cowboys show with the Space Cowboys show. So filling a lot of needs here with the Kretschman Media Network, and we're doing some really good things. And I appreciate you guys for supporting the pages, everybody that has supported the pages. So let's get into our main topic of today's video. I want to be talking about 3 teams that I am not out on when it comes to the rest of the NFL season. So also, before we get into this, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. And let's get into the video. First team I want to talk about is the Dallas Cowboys. I am not out on the Dallas Cowboys one bit. Now, when I mean I'm not out on them, I'm not saying that they're like a Super Bowl contender, but can they make the playoffs and be a pain in the butt? Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Like, yeah, they need to fix some things with the defensive side of the ball. But the thing is, like, when you look at that team, you see on one side, the offensive side of the ball, that's a Super Bowl offense. That's the number 1 offense in football. I don't think it's necessarily close either. They're the best offense in football. Defensively, they're the worst defense in football. But I don't think they're like a complete lost cause on defense to the extent that can they be like the 20th best defense in football by the end of the season? I think they could be, right? Like they're returning some guys. DeMarvion Overshown, the linebackers coming back. That's going to be big because their linebacker play has not been very good. Savone Revel, the rookie that they drafted in the 3rd round. Now, he is a guy that is coming off a torn ACL, so that is something to be weary of. But, I mean, look, if you can have as your corners, you have Diggs, Bland, and Revel, that's a pretty solid cornerback room, right? Now, you hope Revel plays to the level that you want him to play to, which is, at the very least, day one, a solid starting corner. We'll see what happens. And then Overshown, again, like that's kind of the thing, right, with Dallas is that they're banking on a lot of ifs going their way. And it just doesn't like, that's just not a great way to live if you're a football team. But can they change some things schematically with the defense? Can their personnel get a little better by trade, by free agent acquisition, or by players coming off of injury? Yeah, that like it can get better. Not saying that's going to get good, but it can get better. But when I look at this offense, the Cowboys have the best offense in football. They have a quarterback who I think at the current moment so far this season has been the best quarterback in the NFL. You have one of the top 3-5 receivers in the NFL with CeeDee Lamb. Now, granted, he is injured right now, but that makes you say, hey, they put up 40 points on the Green Bay Packers without CeeDee Lamb. Think about when they get CeeDee Lamb back, and they're missing 2 offensive linemen as well. They get those guys back. That offense is going to be really, really scary. George Pickens is playing fantastic football. They're running the ball effectively too. Like, that's something that a lot of people didn't expect that they were going to do coming into the season, but they've been able to run the ball at a very, very high level. They're one of the best rushing attacks in football this year. Javonte Williams has been an absolute godsend for them. Now, I do think they need to add another running back because I don't think Javonte Williams is enough. I do think they need to add, if Jadon Blue can be a guy for them, that's going to be big, right? Like, they need some more juice in the backfield to where if a play is blocked up for, let's just say, 6 or 7 yards, that guy can take it 60 yards. And that is a guy like Jadon Blue. He is an explosive running back. I don't think they have enough explosiveness in their run game. If they can add that, that's just another layer to their offense that they can add. But when I look at what Brian Schottenheimer is doing as the head coach of that team, it's been very, very impressive, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they have to get it together. That is more of a Matt Eberflus problem, in my personal opinion. But the reason why I'm not out on this team is because when teams go into games with the Cowboys, they know, hey, we have to put up like 35 points to win this game. And no matter how bad the defense is across from you, saying going into a game, we have to put up 35 points, it is a tad bit intimidating. It's not intimidating that you have to go up against this defense. That's not what I'm saying. It's a bad defense, right? But what I'm saying is knowing that you have to go into a game clicking on all cylinders and making sure that you don't make any mistakes, because if you make mistakes, now you're giving the ball back to that explosive offense that they have. Yeah, that is something that teams do not want to deal with. It's never going to be an easy game with Dallas. Now, the Bears game, yeah, that wasn't good. But I would also say, like, hey, CeeDee Lamb got injured in the first few plays. Like, that's going to affect your game plan significantly on the offensive side of the ball. Now, I will say about the Cowboys as well, like, what is the ceiling of this football team? The ceiling, I think, is the conference championship game. I don't see them getting past that. I just don't think I don't think their defense is going to get good enough to the point where they're going to be able to compete in games late in the season. Like, when I mean compete, I mean like compete against the best teams in the NFC and playing in the playoffs. It's going to be a bit difficult for them. But right now they're 1-2-1. And when you look at their schedule coming up here, they have a very favorable schedule in the next few weeks here. They have the Jets on Sunday. They have the Panthers next Sunday. They can win those 2 games. If they do that, they're 3-2-1 at that point. Then they have the Commanders. They can win that game. So, and then you're looking at the Broncos. That'll be a tough one in Denver, but they could, with what I saw from that offense, they can pull that out. And then they have Cardinals, Raiders. I mean, you're looking at the next few weeks here. You're looking at potential of they can win their 5 of their next 6 games. Like, I don't think the Commanders are good this year at all. Jaden Daniels are not. I don't think they're a good football team. Like, you're looking at a team that when they play Philly on November 23rd, they could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6. So they could be 7-3-1 going into that game, right? And they're playing Philly in Dallas. We saw what happened the last time Dallas played Philly. I mean, they were a CeeDee Lamb catch away from winning that football game. And then coming down the stretch, like, yeah, they have the Eagles, they have the Chiefs, they have the Lions, they have the Vikings, the Chargers. Like, that stretch of games where people were saying for Dallas, like, hey, this is going to be a gauntlet for them. When you look at the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Lions, the Vikings, the Chargers, and the Commanders, I mean, they could win 3 of those games. There's no doubt in my mind about that, right? Like, I think they can beat the Eagles. I don't think the Eagles are as good as their record says they are. I mean, they should be 2-2, maybe 1-3 at the current moment. And then you look at a Chiefs team in Dallas, like, they can make that happen. Lions in Detroit, that's going to be difficult. But Minnesota, they can beat Minnesota. They can beat Los Angeles. They could beat the Commanders in Washington. Like, the only game that I feel confident picking against the Cowboys for the rest of the season is the Lions. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win every game. Don't mistake me with that, because I mean, they did have a really pathetic performance against the Chicago Bears. But what I'm saying is, I think the only game where I look at them and write them off is the Lions game. All these other games, they can win every one of these games going forward. And I mean, if they're able to do that, now, again, I don't think they're going to win every game. I'm just saying they can be competitive. They can win those games. I think this is a 10-win football team. And if they're a 10-win football team, you have to think about it like this. With them tying that game against the Green Bay Packers, if they're a 10-win football team, it's essentially like they're an 11-win football team. Unless the Packers win 10 games as well, then you're looking at a situation where there's probably going to be different tiebreakers there. But if they win 10 games, it's essentially like they won 11, because they're going to get every tiebreaker over every 10-win team. So playoff team, I think, and I don't think there's going to be many teams that want to see this team in the playoffs. Not with that offense. Defensively, yeah, they're not afraid of that defense. But I think teams, especially offensively, they're intimidated by what that offense can do. Their offense is intimidated by what the opposing offense can do. And if they make any mistakes, they put the ball in harm's way and it's a turnover going the other way, that could swing a football game. Like, now, granted, you could say that for everybody, but I'm saying with that offense, yeah, like it could be detrimental, like really detrimental to your football team. Another team that I want to move on to is, now this is a team that they have Super Bowl potential, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. I get it that people want to count out the Kansas City Chiefs, but I could say they should be a 3-1 football team. They could have beat Philly in that week 2 matchup, and they're going to be getting some guys back here off of injury. They still have a really good defense. I think their offense is starting to come together here. And when you look at their schedule coming down the way here, they have the Jaguars on Monday night. That's going to be a more difficult game than people originally anticipated, but I would pick them to win that game. Lions, that's going to be difficult. But then they have the Raiders, the Commanders, they have Buffalo in Buffalo. Like, when I look at this schedule, the only team that I say could beat the Chiefs, like the only team where I'm just like, I would give them a 70+% chance of winning that game, is the Bills, right? Like, I think it's pretty clear the Bills are probably going to win that game in Buffalo, but I'm not going to count out Patrick Mahomes, and I don't think anybody else should either. And when you look at the AFC, I mean, if you're a Bills fan watching what the Chiefs did to the Ravens the other day, you got to be like, oh no, we thought we got rid of these guys. We thought that these guys weren't going to be a factor, but you know, they're starting to turn it around a little bit here. I mean, 37 points. I get it's the Ravens and their defense hasn't been that good this year. I get that. I understand that. But 37 points against an NFL defense is 37 points. And we haven't seen that from the Kansas City Chiefs recently. Have they turned the page around? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And I mean, like, when you look at Pat Mahomes the other day, 25 for 37, 270 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like, the way they're going to win games is they're going to have to throw the ball. They're a pass first offense. Like, I don't know. I don't see it with their run game. I know Andy Reid wants to run the football and play good defense, and that's how he wants to win games. You got to put the ball in 15's hands and let him go win you football games, because this roster as a whole, I just don't think it's good enough to the point where you could just say, okay, let's play ball control offense and let's rely on our defense to make it happen. And granted, their defense is great. I'm not trying to say that their defense isn't great. It is. But when I look at this team, and if I'm an opposing defense playing the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm looking at them and I'm saying, please don't put the ball in 15's hands, because that's a guy that strikes fear into opposing defenses' hearts, right? Like, their offense and what they've been doing, where it's run the ball, play good defense, defenses, I feel like, are let off the hook when they play the Kansas City Chiefs and they go about the business of playing that way, right? Like, you need to be in the business, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, of Pat Mahomes, go win us this football game. And if they do that going forward with the receivers that they have and with Rashee Rice coming back, yeah, this is a situation where the Kansas City Chiefs, they have a really good opportunity to make something happen. Like, they have a lot of receivers on this team when Rashee Rice comes back. You have Rice, Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, I think Rice and Worthy with Patrick Mahomes, that's a fine wide receiver duo. But then you add in the other pieces with Brown and Schuster and Kelsey. Like, they're going to be able to make it happen over the air. And that's, I think, the way they need to go offensively. And man, I'm not out on the Chiefs. I'm just going to say that. Like, I was getting to the point where I was out on the Kansas City Chiefs, but what I saw against them, what I saw with them against the Baltimore Ravens, that makes me say, okay, this team will be fine. They're still probably going to win the AFC West. Like, let's just be 100% honest with ourselves. Do we really think that the Chargers are going to win the AFC West? Because I don't think they are. Like, I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to come back and end up winning that division. And again, if you're a Buffalo fan, you don't want to see that team coming down the stretch in the playoffs. You absolutely don't. They're definitely traumatized by what that team could potentially be. But I want to move on to the last team that I'm not out on, and that's the Green Bay Packers. I made a video a few weeks ago where I said I'm not sold on the Green Bay Packers. I think people made that out to be me saying I'm out on the Green Bay Packers. No, I never said that. I've never said that they couldn't be a team that could potentially win a Super Bowl. I never said that. What I said was I was not 100% sold on the team coming off the Commanders win. And ever since then, they haven't won a game. But that doesn't mean that this team can't be a legitimate contender in the NFC. Now, I don't think they're going to win their division. I think the Lions are going to win their division. I think the Lions, to me, are the best team in the NFC right now. Like, when you look at what they've done over the first 4 weeks, I get it. Philly is undefeated, but I also think Philly should be 2-2 right now and not 4-0. And when I look at the Lions, like, yeah, they had that bad loss to the Green Bay Packers, but ever since then, they've kind of been making some things happen. But when I look at the Green Bay Packers, I see a quarterback in Jordan Love who, while yes, he is inconsistent, he can make every throw on the field. And I kind of hate when people say that because, like, yeah, he is an NFL quarterback. But when I mean that, I mean every blade of grass you have to defend. And when you look at Matt LaFleur and what he can do offensively, scheming some things up there with a quarterback like Jordan Love who can put the ball pretty much anywhere on the field, yeah, that offense is very scary. And yeah, they had a rough outing against the Browns. And that's kind of why I say, like, Jordan Love got to be a little more consistent here. But I think the difference between the Green Bay Packers from last year and the Green Bay Packers of this year is I think their defense is a lot better than it was previously. Now, the cornerbacks, I'm not sold on their cornerbacks. Their secondary, as a whole, when you talk about the safeties, yeah, like, they're pretty decent there, but I'm not necessarily sold on these cornerbacks. But the pass rush is outstanding. Like, even though they didn't generate much of a pass rush against, well, statistically, when it comes to getting sacks, they didn't get that many sacks against Dallas. I would also say, like, Dak was playing at such a high level, getting the ball out on time. And I think that there's a lot more there than just Green Bay's pass rush didn't show up. No, it showed up. They got a lot of pressures, but Dak was just better than their really good pass rush. So that's where I say the Packers could be different this year, where their offense, they have a good scheme. They have a good quarterback in Jordan Love, who, again, while inconsistent, when he's on his game, there are very few quarterbacks in the league better than him. And what that offense can do because of what Jordan Love can do, I think it takes this offense to a different level. When you look at their receivers, Matthew Golden, he's only going to get better. They have other receivers on that team as well. They have the tight ends that they have. Like their offensive line, it's banged up right now. But even with a banged up offensive line, I mean, they still put 40 points on Dallas, which, by the way, I mean, it's not a good defense, obviously, over there in Dallas. But again, it's just when you look at this team, they have the offensive weapons. They have the offensive play caller. They have a quarterback that can play at a very high level. And while, yes, streaky, if he is on one of those high notes that Jordan Love can get on, I don't think any team wants to see that team. Like no team in the NFC wants to see that team. No team in the NFL wants to see that team. Because when Green Bay is putting points on the board and they can be in a position where they can pin their ears back with their pass rush, that's going to be difficult to deal with. And that's why I'm not out on this team just yet. Like even as Super Bowl contenders, I'm not out on them as Super Bowl contenders. I'm not sold on them as Super Bowl contenders, but I'm still looking at that team and I look at the talent that they have and I'm like, they could still make it happen. So that's my spiel there on three teams that I'm not out on in the NFL. So last topic of the day that I want to talk about is the Arkansas coaching job and where I think they could potentially be going with that job. So obviously Sammy Pittman got fired from Arkansas. And with that, they now have a vacancy at head coach. Well, they have an interim head coach, but going into this offseason, we'll see what they do with that decision. Do they keep the interim coach the head coach, or do they bring in another head coach? I think the perfect coach for this Arkansas job is John Gruden. John Gruden would be a perfect SEC coach. And when you look at the landscape of college football, they're looking for more celebrity coaches to sell as a recruiting pitch to the recruits, right? And I mean, who wouldn't want to play for John Gruden? You see what he's doing with Barstool and what he's doing on social media and the energy that he brings. And I think that he would also be a fantastic recruiter as well. And that's where, like, when it comes to the recruiting game, you need to have NIL and you need to have a good personality, right? You need your coach to have some personality to him. And John Gruden is oozing charisma. And not only that, the guy is a really damn good head football coach. And now you're starting to see more former NFL coaches start to find their way into college football. And I think he's probably going to be the next one. And if you're a program like Arkansas, like, okay, where are you going to go with your program? Are you going to try and bring in an offensive or defensive coordinator from like Oregon or Georgia or Ohio State or something along those lines? No, I don't think that's the way to go. Right? Unless it's one of these really high profile guys like Brian Hartline, which, by the way, like if you're Arkansas, would you want to go that direction? I mean, a guy who's in his first year as an offensive play caller, who's been a wide receiver coach. Like, I think that that's a little bit too steep of a step there. I mean, I don't think it would be an awful hire. It would take a little bit of time for him to get acclimated. But John Gruden is the perfect coach for that situation. You need a guy that's going to push the envelope if you're Arkansas. You are not one of the top programs in the SEC. You're not a Texas. You're not an Alabama. You're not a Georgia. You're not a Texas A&M. You're not one of these top programs. So to get to that point, yeah, you need a guy like a John Gruden, a guy that has a name to him, a guy that's going to bring interest to your program, a guy who's going to bring you to relevancy, because he is going to be one of those guys, much like Bill Belichick, much like Deion Sanders, to where teams and the media are going to pay attention to that team because of who their head coach is. And they're going to be able to get recruits that school wouldn't have access to because of the fact that they have a personality there. They have a coach like John Gruden, who he was a previous Super Bowl. He's a Super Bowl winning head coach. That's what he is. Like, I get it. It was in 2004 that he won the Super Bowl. But even still, like, that guy won a Super Bowl. That guy has led some of the best offenses in the NFL. That guy has had quarterbacks playing at a very high level. I don't know. I just think if you're a program like Arkansas, you need some juice into your program. And when you look at college football as a whole, you're never really that far away from contention, right? Arizona State Arizona State made the college football playoffs last year. If I'm not mistaken, they won a game in the college football playoffs. If I'm not mistaken there. Let me see. Arizona State College. I just want to make sure that I'm 100% accurate there. Yeah, they were the number 4 seed last year. They were Big 12 champions. Okay, so they got a bye. I'm sorry, I was mistaken there. Had to make 100% sure on that. Arizona State won the Big 12. They played Texas in the second round of the college football playoffs, and they almost beat Texas. Like, they were toe for toe with Texas. And if Quinn Ewers doesn't make one of the best plays in Texas football history, they beat Texas. Like, think about that. They would have gotten to the Final Four of the college football playoffs if Quinn Ewers didn't make one of the best plays in college football history. That is like Arizona State, a program that was completely and utterly irrelevant. They were able to do that in a year because they brought in a coach that completely changed the culture. John Gruden is a coach that can come in and change the culture of Arkansas. Yes, even playing in the SEC. You're never that far away in college football now. Unless obviously you're a mid-major or a low major, sure. But if you're like one of these SEC, Big 12, Big 10 programs, you get the right guy in there. Indiana, that's another program. What was Indiana before Curt Cignetti? They made the college football playoffs last year. You're never that far away. Arizona State proved that. SMU proved that. And Indiana proved that. Could Arkansas be the next program where you look at and you say, wow, like they could take that next step? Yes, they could be the program, but they got to get the right guy as the head coach. And is that John Gruden? It very well might be. I think it would be a great hire for them. And not only that, who's one of the donors for Arkansas? Jerry Jones. Who's Jerry Jones good friends with? John Gruden. I think there's going to be a push by Jerry Jones there to say, hey, maybe we should consider John Gruden here. I mean, I think he has say within that program, right? I mean, he is a donor at the end of the day. So, I mean, we'll see what happens there. John Gruden would be the perfect fit. And not only from a recruiting standpoint, like think about it. If you're one of these recruits and you grew up watching Monday Night Football and you're watching John Gruden in the commentary booth and you're seeing him at these quarterback camps, right? You're going to start to say, oh, wow, John Gruden like is recruiting me. Like I watched this guy growing up. There's a connection there. So, and with everything that he's doing with Barstool now, yeah, like he has made himself a very viable candidate to potentially be the Arizona State head coach. That's going to be it for the CEO Sports Show for October 1st, 2025. Wow, we knocked a lot of things out today. That was pretty awesome. So it is Wednesday. We have 2 more days till Friday. College football this weekend. Not as good as it was last week, I think. I haven't taken too deep of a look at the schedule, especially with Florida State losing that game last week. Now that game against Miami doesn't look as good, but that's besides the point. NFL this week. Can't wait for that. We got 49ers Rams tomorrow. I'm not sure if Brock Purdy's playing that game. He said that he's going to play in that game, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, guys. I would greatly appreciate that, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.